Friends, I'm sick. I've been sick all week.
Oh, is it space COVID?
No, it's not space COVID. It's just a run-of-the-mill flu.
Uh-huh, right.
At any rate, I've been laid up all week on the couch not doing much besides playing video games. Luckily, one of the biggest releases of 2024 has come out this weekend, and I've had a lot of free time to spend with it. Yes, friends, I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I put about 20 hours into it so far, and I've got some early thoughts and feelings. Shall we get into it? Welcome aboard Space Castle, where it's our continuing mission to explore all things nerdy in the universe. I'm your Captain DT, and for real, I've been hella sick all week. So this is going to be a different video of sorts.
Last will and testament?
I'm not dying, Goldblum, but I am dying to talk about this game. The follow-up to 2020's Final Fantasy VII Remake, this game thrusts you into the world of Gaia and exploration is wide open. You're no longer backtracking between the same locations in Midgar, making your way through 5 hours of game stretched into 40, and instead you'll be wandering and completing quests in the wide open areas of the world. And let's just start there. This game is freaking gorgeous. It's breathtaking to finally be exploring this world in full HD graphics. I remember this moment in Remake where I was wandering around the Sector 7 slums and I looked towards the edge of Midgar's upper plate, and there was just this small window of evening sky visible, a view I'd always imagined but never actually seen in the original version of Final Fantasy VII. And I was taken aback. I was legitimately moved. One of my all-time favorite games, seen in an entirely new light with a full orchestral version of Nobuo Uematsu's overworld theme, was frankly emotional. And Rebirth cranks that up to 11. Once you've completed Cloud and Tifa's backstory in Calm, which was largely covered in the demo Square released a little while back, and once you clear some extra story in Calm itself, you're turned loose on the grasslands region of the world with that overworld theme kicking into high gear, and I immediately felt overwhelmed in just the right way, and nostalgia gripped me in the warmest of embraces. This game is stunning. The level of detail and care in recreating the world of Gaia is staggering, and it's just a joy to wander around in. And you're gonna do a lot of wandering. The game has adopted an open world style gameplay where you'll be exploring and completing a variety of side quests in between the main story missions. If you checked out my last video on open world gaming, you'll know that I've got some conflicting feelings about open world games in general. I'm still excited and in love with them, but I do think that developers need to do different things with them. And Tetsuya Nomura has done nothing at all original with that aspect of the game, unfortunately. I'm kind of sad to say that you're doing every cliche open world side mission known to man, right down to seeking out towers and activating them to reveal more side quests on the map. I played through 2 regions of the game at this point, and the gameplay cycle in the large explorable areas is quaint at best and disappointing and tedious at worst. I'll be brutally honest, if this wasn't Final Fantasy freaking VII and it wasn't all set to the most epic versions of Uematsu themes we're likely to ever hear, and if it wasn't characters that I've adored for nearly 30 years doing the wandering, I would probably not find myself nearly as invested in it, if at all. I've put down many an Assassin's Creed game because I've simply gotten bored with the gameplay cycle. I've given up entirely on Far Cry because they're just basically the same game every couple of years. There's nothing new or interesting in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's open world exploration, but it gets by on equal parts nostalgia and affection for the original game, and the absolutely stellar combat. And you thought this was just going to be a video of me bitching, but it isn't. I'm actually largely enjoying the experience, and at the top of that is the combat system. I adored Remake's combat, and Rebirth's feels even better and more dynamic with the addition of character team-up moves, more varied abilities, and open world space to battle monsters far away from the confines of Midgar. Activating towers and doing fetch quests might be boring, but kicking the shit out of monsters with Cloud Strife and Red 13 with Aerith healing and Barret taking pot shots from afar feels absolutely wonderful, completely insane, and wholly satisfying. But that comes at a price. Everyone's least favorite character ever, Chadley, is front and center in Rebirth's exploration. He's the impetus, he's the gatekeeper, and he is your constant and I mean constant, companions through each region's side missions. And now he's got a sidekick who will make you want to put duct tape over the speaker on your PS5 controller. The two of them will speak to you at length at the beginning and end of each side mission, and you'll have to wade through lengthy monologues from Chadley as you collect world data from the missions to develop new VR trading modules and thus create new materia. It adds a whole new layer of tedium to the gameplay cycle, which in and of itself can be quite tedious already. And there's a series of unique monsters that you'll track down and fight in each region, and Chadley's AI, named Mai, will start chatting away about each monster when you find it, and then just keep chatting away through your controller speaker throughout the entire fight.
Bravo! That was an extraordinary display. The data you collected will prove invaluable. In fact, we've already used it to produce a new combat trial. Check it out.
What? I see that Mai has already covered everything, which means I have nothing to add at this time.
It's distracting, it's annoying, and it disrupts some intense and really fun mini-boss battles. And it's every single f***ing one of them. It's one of many very odd choices that Tetsuro Nomura and his team have made with Rebirth. There's also some weird mechanic choices, like swapping party members being buried in menus instead of just in the party menu. And the menus themselves take forever to work with. There's actually a very brief loading time for the main menu, which was actually surprising to me on the PS5. And you'll have to cycle through characters in sort of a tedious fashion. An updated version of the original's menus, like with Final Fantasy Remake, would have sufficed, but, you know, no half measures with Tetsuro Nomura. No, one of the bigger draws of Final Fantasy VII Remake series is exploring both classic and familiar story beats, along with brand new ones, and seeing how the story changes this time around. And on top of that, there's added depth to the interactions Cloud has with his companions, and it gets kind of weird. Early on, after things have settled down and calm, you can go back into the town and do some side missions. One such has the mayor of Calm wanting a pipeline of Mako energy from Midgar to Calm repaired. Now, for those of you who've played the original Final Fantasy VII, which should be all of you, you know that Barrett Wallace is the leader of an organization trying to stop the use of Mako energy and is damn near religious about it. He wants to stop the bad guys from draining the life force out of the planet and using it as a power source for profit. So we take this mission, and he doesn't protest at all. There should have been some sort of conflict or hesitation, even if it is helping out a town that just helped out the group. But instead, everybody is totally cool with helping the mayor, and thus Shinra too, by basically repairing their equipment and securing their profits for them. I finish the mission, and I report back to the mayor for my reward. Barrett makes a friendly joke at Cloud's expense, and their relationship dynamic somehow grows stronger and deepens? Like, what? We just helped the bad guys. We went against everything a main character cares about and why he's even there in the first place. And everyone left feeling happier and closer as friends. I'm only 20 hours into the game and already Rebirth feels strangely tone deaf and out of touch at certain points. But this is Tetsuya Nomura we're talking about. It's to be expected. It's a little concerning though, considering how all over the place Remake ended up being towards the end. And I'm more than a little worried that Tetsuro Nomura's penchant for outright nonsense and absurdity is going to negatively impact some of the more important story moments we all know are coming later in this game. Onto the voice cast, they're absolutely stellar and they feel more in a groove and more at home with their characters since Remake. Barrett Wallace is far less ridiculous and grating this time around and is actually fun to spend time with as a character. The big standout for me was Max Mittelman as Red 13, who has an obviously expanded role this time around, and he nails Red's introspective and intelligent tone with just a hint of spiritualism. All the characters have subtle nuances in their voice work, which makes it all the more frustrating when the writing suddenly has them act out of character. I'm keeping an open mind though, because I'm largely enjoying this experience so far, like I've said. I'm having a lot of fun with it. The boss fights are epic and wonderfully crafted with just the right amount of difficulty and straight up fun. The characters' team-up moves pair really nicely with limit breaks to up the kinetic energy of each boss fight, and each victory feels like an actual real accomplishment. The main story beats so far are hitting the mark, and there's nothing weirdly distracting and odd with the main campaign itself. It's just those weird little tone-deaf moments that you have to shrug off and ignore and move on from. What it all comes down to is the ability to visit this world again with these characters far outweighs the odd and frustrating choices that Square has made with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's something magical about it, and that magic is enough to be center stage and enough to make me happy. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII, I'm sure you've already picked this up, and you're already just as far into it as I am, if not further, so what do you think? Leave a comment down below, and let's chat about the experience so far. But let's keep the spoilers to a minimum if we can for anybody who hasn't been stuck on the couch for the last several days with all the time in the world to play like I have. And let me know what you think of this more abridged style of video here on Space Castle. I did this one mostly out of necessity, but maybe I'll do more review and opinion-based videos like this one. If you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know. In the meantime, thanks so much for hanging out with me on Space Castle, where it's our continuing mission to explore all things nerdy in the universe. I'm gonna go drink some space orange juice and take some space vitamins and maybe take a space nap.
And I'll go online and order your space coffin.
Sure, sounds good, Goldblum. We'll see you in the next video, everybody. This is your Captain DT, signing off.